Let's talk about GRINDR. GRINDR is an app notoriously known for hookups between gay men, but I'm the first to admit I've had some of the best dates ever with guys that I met on GRINDR. So I think like any other app, whether it's Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, and so on, depending on how you choose to use it, depending on how you choose to communicate on there, how you present yourself and so on, you will attract different things and different kinds of people. But here are 5 things that everybody should watch out for on GRINDR. Let's get into it. Number 1, if you see capital T's, like literally the letter T, randomly in words, oftentimes in the word party, like a guy will say in his profile, let's party together, and the T is randomly a capital T, that is code for Tina, which is the street name for meth. If you see that, other random capital letters, if you see the balloon emoji in somebody's profile, if you see PNP, that means party and play. Do you see a theme here, the word party? All of this refers to drug use. Guys who have this in their bios are looking to mix basically drugs and sex with guys they meet on GRINDR. That's not your thing. Be mindful of it, that's what you're attracting if you interact with guys like that on this app. Number 2, BB stands for bareback. So if you see the BB tag on somebody's profile, what this means is that this person wants to have sex without protection, without condoms. Now, I know we're in the 21st century and everybody and their mama, or I guess everybody and their daddy, I should say, is on PrEP, the medication that significantly reduces and has reduced HIV infections considerably. But let's be clear about this. Even if you're actively taking PrEP and you're actively reducing your chances of HIV infection, if you're not using protection with total strangers that you meet on an app like GRINDR, you're significantly skyrocketing your chances of contracting every other STD out there. Maybe you're down with that, maybe it's worth it for you, and if that's the case, knock yourself out. But if you're like me and that stuff terrifies you, make sure to look out for these keywords on guys' profiles on this app. Number 3, missing fields in a bio. What I mean by that is somebody conveniently leaves out their relationship status in their bio or their HIV status in their bio. Doesn't necessarily mean it was intentional, but I've noticed that when a guy fills out just about everything else, his age, his height, what he's looking for, what he's into, whether he's a smoker or not, and so on, but conveniently leaves out the HIV status field or relationship status field, that means he's probably not wanting to advertise the reality of the situation that he's in. Now, it's not worth making assumptions, right? So that's why if you see a missing field that is a deal breaker for you, make sure to ask. I've learned to ask when I'm curious about something that's not clear in somebody's bio and I want to get to know the person or I want to hang out with them or whatever. Number 4, guys seeking generous guys. If you see the word generous, if you just see Gen, G-E-N in somebody's bio, if you see $signs, if you see the present or gift emoji, all of that can refer to this phenomenon of guys who are only on these apps for a transaction, a gay for pay situation. Welcome to the 21st century where people use dating and hookup apps for prostitution. Number 5, last but certainly not least, make sure to watch out for your mental health. These apps are designed to get you hooked. That's how they all work. Every app, not just dating and hookup apps, every app is intended to get users to keep coming back to them and then to stay in the app as long as possible so that hopefully you will become a paying member or you'll see enough ads for the company to make more money and so on. I think it's important to remember these things when you use a dating or hookup app like GRINDR, because certain things will happen that can affect you, your self-esteem, can affect your mental health, and you don't realize that you're just like a pawn in a bigger scheme. So a perfect example of this is that on GRINDR, it'll say when you were last online, it'll say if you're online, and this can really mess with your head, right? If you're messaging a guy and there's this chemistry back and forth and suddenly the person stops responding, but you see that they're still online, This has happened to me. I've gotten in my head about it. I've also been on the other end where I just fell asleep. I took a shower, I stepped out for dinner, and guys will keep blowing you up on your phone like, I see that you're online, why aren't you responding? And the reality is I wasn't online. So keep in mind, these apps can have manipulative tactics to get users to keep messaging and keep logging back in. I think once you have that sort of awareness in the back of your mind, it's easier not to get offended, it's easier not to get your feelings hurt. Of course, you're dealing with other human beings on the other end, and it's important to keep that in mind. But for what it's worth, there are a lot of bot accounts and spammers, or guys who frankly are too afraid to meet up with somebody, or they're not ready to face the fact that they're attracted to guys, and so they just come on this app to flirt and send little messages. Point is, it's not about you. You don't know what's going on in somebody else's life, and for all you know, that person is not who you think they are, and those are fake photos. Take it from somebody who's been catfished before. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if I missed any big sort of red flags or warning signs to watch out for on GRINDR and apps like GRINDR. Let me know in the comments.